Late at night, in the streets of Assisi, you could hear singing. A band of young men would pass with torches and instruments, dressed in cloth that cost a fortune, and at the center of them was Francesco, lifting the songs of the troubadours in that half-French he had picked up at home. The earliest biographies hide nothing of this season. They describe him as cheerful, generous to the point of waste, the ringleader of the merry companies made up of merchants' sons. He spent without counting, dressed to be noticed, and in the night-long revels it was he who ran the game. We have to clear our minds of the image of the early saint, the child already turned toward heaven. Thomas of Celano, who writes for his canonization and therefore has no reason at all to make him look small, gives us instead a young man sunk in the vanities of his class, careful of appearances, lavish with money in order to be liked and admired. He was the brilliant heir of a family on the rise, and he behaved like one. Parties, clothes, friends, and that slightly brazen generosity of someone who wants to be first even in giving. But beneath the festivity there was a precise ambition, and here the story turns more serious. The dream of every well-off boy of that time was not to stay behind a counter of cloth. It was to climb in rank, to become a knight. Knighthood meant honor, arms, a title that money alone could not buy. The tales of the paladins, of King Arthur, of the Knights of the Round Table, ran through the courts and the squares, and Francesco knew them and loved them. He dreamed of feats, of glorious deeds, of the moment when the son of a tradesman would become a man of arms whom everyone acclaimed. His father in this encouraged him. Pietro di Bernardone had the means to buy his son what a knight required: the horse, the armor, the garments fit for the rank he aimed at. It was a social investment. If Francesco became a knight, the family would finally vault over the invisible barrier that divided the newly rich from those noble by blood. Father and son shared, for now, the same dream of ascent, even if for different reasons. The father for the standing of the house, the son for the glory. It helps to understand the workings of this society if we want to grasp what was at stake. The wealth of the Bernardone family was new, made of coins and of trade, and for that very reason it was looked down upon by the old families. Money could buy almost anything, but not the regard that came from blood and from the sword. Knighthood was the bridge between the two worlds. This is why Francesco's military dream was no idle whim. It was the concrete, recognized road to fulfilling the ambition of his whole household. Understanding it lets us measure how much, later on, it will cost him to break it. In the midst of all this, the sources let us glimpse something that does not square with the simple portrait of the carefree young man. He was indeed the king of the feasts, but with traits that startled people. An excessive courtesy toward everyone, a sudden distaste for coarse words, a generosity toward the poor that went beyond the custom of his set. The biographers, who write with hindsight, read into it the first signs of a different sensibility. The historian is more cautious. He sees a boy of his own time, inside the rules of his own time, in whom, however, the measure of excess, in giving as in enjoying himself, was already out of the ordinary. There is a revealing detail that the earliest lives report. One day, busy selling cloth in the shop, Francesco was approached by a poor man begging alms for the love of God. Caught up in his business, he sent him away. Then Celano tells us he repented at once, dropped everything, ran after the man and gave to him freely, promising himself never again to refuse anyone who asked in the name of God. It is a small episode, perhaps embellished by devotion, but it captures a real tension. Inside the merchant there was something that trade could not contain. For now, though, the dream of arms wins out. Assisi is about to go to war, and war is the chance every aspiring knight waits for. Francesco is young, rich, full of the hunger for glory, and he believes his destiny lies out there, on the field with a sword in his hand and honor before him. Reality will hand him instead the mud of a lost battle and the darkness of a prison. The point to hold on to is this: The first Francesco gives up nothing for the love of God. He chases exactly what everyone else was chasing: wealth, honor, advancement, and he chases it with more ardor than the rest. The road that will change him does not begin from a shining vocation, but from the collapse, one after another, of all the dreams of his youth. In the next chapter, we go down onto the battlefield of Callistrata, where Assisi and Perugia clash, and we follow Francesco through the year of imprisonment and the illness that begin, in silence, to crack everything apart.